The night was quiet, almost too quiet for a place as ancient as Lothlorien. Moonlight rested gently on the golden leaves, turning the whole forest into a silver dream. The air did not move, the trees did not whisper, and even the stars looked as if they were holding their breath. It was the kind of silence that made a person feel watched, not in a threatening way, but in a powerful, mysterious way. The traveler, a young scholar named Arion, stepped into this forest with careful feet. He was not an adventurer nor a soldier. He came from a distant village where stories were valued more than swords and curiosity was a stronger weapon than courage. But tonight, Arion's curiosity had led him to the one place people whispered about with fear and wonder, the heart of the Golden Wood. He had heard the legends since his childhood. The forest where time slowed, the land ruled by the Lady of Light, and most of all, the object that could reveal truths hidden even from kings and wizards, the Mirror of Galadriel. But no book had ever explained how the mirror worked. Some said it showed the future, some said it showed the past, some said it showed things that never happened, and a few whispered that the mirror could change fate itself. Arion did not know what to believe, he only knew one thing: he needed answers. His village was in danger, shadows had been growing on the borders. Strange creatures were seen at night and people were vanishing from the river paths. The elders said it was nothing. Arion knew they were wrong, he had seen the signs, he had heard the strange voices calling from the woods. He had even found footprints too large and too twisted to belong to any known animal, but nobody listened. So Arion did the only thing he could do: he followed the legends. If anyone could show him the truth, it was the Lady of the Golden Wood. He walked deeper, guided only by moonlight and the soft glow of flowers that seemed to bloom just for him. The forest was silent, but it was a living silence. It felt as if the trees were studying him, asking him questions he did not know how to answer. Still he walked. Suddenly the path changed. It did not twist or turn, it simply shifted beneath his feet. One moment he was surrounded by tall trees. The next he was standing in a wide clearing with ancient stone pillars rising from the ground. The air felt different here, heavier, older, filled with magic he could almost taste. Then Arion saw her. A tall figure in white stood at the far end of the clearing. Her golden hair shone like sunlight trapped in moonlight. Her robe moved even though there was no wind. Her presence was not frightening, but it was overwhelming, like looking at a star too closely. She turned her head slowly, and even from a distance, Arion felt her eyes meet his soul. It was Galadriel, the Lady of Wood, the oldest and most powerful among the elves who still walked in Middle-earth. Arion froze. He felt like a child standing before a queen of the heavens. But Galadriel spoke gently, her voice soft yet echoing in the air as if the forest repeated every word she said. "You have traveled far, Arion of the River Vale." Arion's breath caught. He had never told anyone his name here. How do you know me, my lady?" Galadriel smiled. It was a slow, knowing smile, the kind someone gives when they see more than the surface. "You carry questions in your heart, and the forest carries your footsteps. Nothing enters Lothlorien without being known." Her words made him feel both small and strangely protected. She stepped aside, and that was when Arion saw it, a stone pedestal carved with ancient runes, and atop it, a wide basin filled with shining silver water. The liquid glowed with a light that did not belong to any lamp or star. It pulsed softly as if alive. Arion had seen drawings of the mirror in old books, but none had captured its beauty or its fear. This was not a simple bowl of water, it was a gateway, and it felt like it was waiting for him. "The mirror," Arion whispered. Galadriel nodded. "It shows what was, what is, and what may yet be." Arion swallowed hard. "My village is in danger, shadows grow around us, I must know what is coming." Galadriel studied him for a moment, her eyes calm, ancient, and unreadable. "Many seek answers," she said softly. "Few are ready for them." Arion felt heat rise in his chest. "I am ready, I must be." Galadriel moved closer. Her presence felt like standing at the edge of a quiet storm, beautiful, powerful, and unpredictable. "Very well," she said. "But know this, the mirror does not obey commands. It may show what you want, or it may show what you fear. It shows possibilities, not certainties, truth mixed with shadow." Arion nodded, though fear was rising within him. "What must I do?" Galadriel lifted a silver jug and poured water into the basin. As the water touched the surface, light rippled outward, forming patterns like slow-moving stars. The forest grew even quieter, as if listening. "Step forward," she instructed. Arion moved slowly, feeling every heartbeat like a hammer in his chest. He stood before the mirror, staring at the glowing water. Part of him wanted to run, to escape whatever truth waited inside, but another part, the part that brought him here, pushed him forward. "Look into the mirror," Galadriel whispered. Arion leaned in. At first he saw nothing but his own reflection, a frightened young man, unsure and out of place in an ancient world. But then the water shifted. His reflection dissolved. A new image formed. Arion saw his village, children running across the fields, women gathering water from the river, smoke rising from small chimneys. Everything looked normal, peaceful, alive. Then the sky darkened. A shadow swept across the land like a storm cloud with claws. The river turned black. The children vanished. The fields withered. Creatures with glowing eyes crawled from the forest, moving silently toward the houses. Arion gasped, No, this cannot be." But the mirror did not stop. Another image flashed. Arion saw himself standing alone on a hill. The forest behind him burned. The village was destroyed. He held a sword, though he had never held one before, and his eyes were filled with fear. The water rippled again. This time Arion saw something far worse, a massive, twisted figure covered in shadow, staring directly at him. Its voice echoed inside his mind. "I am coming." Arion stumbled back, breathing hard. Galadriel steadied him with a gentle hand. "What you saw are possibilities," she said, "not promises. The future can change. You can change it." Arion shook his head. "But how? I am no warrior. I cannot fight such darkness." Galadriel stepped in front of him, her face calm but her eyes glowing faintly. "Courage is not born in strength," she said softly. "It is born in choices, and you, Arion of the River Vale, stand at an important turning point." Arion looked at the mirror again. The surface was calm now, as if nothing had happened, but inside he still felt the images burning. "What must I do?" he whispered. Galadriel smiled, but it was a sad smile, the smile of someone who has seen too many futures and too many losses. "That," she said, "is for you to discover, but remember, the mirror shows only paths. You must walk the one you choose." The forest lights dimmed. The wind began to move again, and Arion realized something important. Coming here was not the end of his journey. It was only the beginning. The unexpected turning point had arrived. His old life was gone. A new fate stood before him, and the darkness he saw in the mirror was already moving. The forest of Lothlorien slowly returned to life. Leaves rustled gently again, and tiny glowing insects drifted through the clearing like floating stars. But Arion felt none of this beauty. He stood frozen, staring at the mirror's still surface as Galadriel's words echoed in his chest. "The mirror shows only paths." If the mirror had shown paths, Arion wondered, then how many paths led to his village destruction, and how many paths led to saving it? He did not dare ask. Galadriel stepped away from the basin, her robes gliding over the ground without disturbing a single leaf. The glow around her slowly faded, until she seemed almost human, almost, but not quite. She remained a being touched by something far greater. Arion finally found his voice. "Lady Galadriel, those creatures I saw, the shadows, what were they?" Galadriel paused before answering. "They are not yet fully formed. They are whispers of what may come. Darkness is rising in places where once only light existed." Her eyes drifted upward, as if she could see beyond the trees, beyond the sky itself. "There are forces moving in Middle-earth that do not wish to be seen, and the shadows you saw, they have begun to take interest in your land." Arion's heart tightened. "My land is small. We have no armies, no riches. Why would darkness care about us?" Galadriel looked at him with a strange expression, both sorrowful and curious. "Darkness does not always hunger for wealth. Sometimes it hungers for places where hope still lives. Your people are simple, peaceful, untouched by the wars of the great. That purity is rare, and darkness tries to destroy what is pure." Arion lowered his head. "So my village is a target because it is harmless." "Harmless," Galadriel said softly, "but not powerless. Remember that." Arion did not understand, but Galadriel did not explain further. Instead, she turned, her feet barely touching the earth as she walked toward a stone archway at the far end of the clearing. "Come," she said. "Your journey is not finished. There is more you must see." As Arion followed her, the forest changed again. The clearing faded, replaced by a narrow path covered in silver leaves. Faint music drifted from the branches above, soft, sad, almost like a lullaby sung for the end of the world. The air smelled of pine and starlight. Arion walked silently behind the lady, unsure of where she was leading him. After a long moment, he finally asked, "Why did the mirror show me those visions? Was it a warning, a promise?" Galadriel did not slow down. "The mirror shows truths that lie beneath your fears. It showed the danger you sense but do not understand, and it showed a future that might come if you choose wrongly." Arion frowned. "How can I choose anything? I don't know what I'm supposed to do." Galadriel stopped suddenly. For the first time, Arion saw worry in her eyes. "You are not the only one walking into danger," she said. "Something has awakened near your village, something that should not have awakened." Arion felt his stomach twist. "You mean the creatures I saw? Their master," Galadriel corrected. A cold breeze swept through the trees, though the night was calm a moment before. The branches above them bent as if bowing under some unseen weight. Arion felt a chill run up his spine. Who is their master?" Galadriel looked deep into the forest. "A being known as the Whisperer." Arion blinked. He had never heard that name before. "Is he a monster, a spirit, a man?" Galadriel answered in a voice barely above a whisper. "He is a shadow given form, a mind without mercy, and wherever he goes he spreads fear first, then silence." Arion felt the forest pressing closer, listening. Galadriel continued. "He was once nothing more than a fading echo of ancient darkness. But now something has strengthened him, something from your land." "My land?" Arion stepped forward. "What could my village give to such a creature?" "A doorway," Galadriel said. "A weakness, a calling." Arion's heart pounded. "How do we stop him?" Galadriel turned and began walking again. "To stop him, you must first understand him, and to understand him, you must hear the truth your village has forgotten." "My village has no secrets," Arion insisted. We are farmers. Fishermen, storytellers. You are more than that, Galadriel said firmly. Your land holds an ancient story older than the trees of Lothlorien. Arion shook his head. No, we were told our village began only a few hundred years ago. Galadriel stopped and faced him. Stories can be changed, history can be erased, but truths always rise again. Arion felt a strange pressure behind his eyes, as if something inside him wanted to awaken but could not. Galadriel raised her hand. A soft light grew from her palm, brightening the path ahead. Leaves shimmered like tiny mirrors reflecting starlight. We are here, she said. Arion looked around. They had reached a small glade with a tall stone standing at the center. The stone was smooth, ancient, covered in strange runes Arion had never seen. It was half buried under moss and roots, as if time had tried to hide it. What is this place? He asked. Galadriel walked toward the stone and placed her hand on it. This is a memory stone. It contains the history of your ancestors. Arion stepped closer, fascinated and afraid. My ancestors, but we have no connection to places like this. My people were simple. No, Galadriel interrupted gently. Your people were once guardians. Arion's breath caught. Guardians of what? Galadriel looked at him with eyes full of 1,000 years of memory. A doorway between light and shadow, a sacred passage that kept the Whisperer trapped. Arion stumbled back as the truth hit him like cold water. My people guarded a prison. They did, Galadriel said, but over time the story was forgotten. The Guardians grew peaceful. Their duty faded into legend, then into dust. And now, she said with a voice heavy with sorrow, the prison weakens. Arion felt the world spinning around him. He grabbed the memory stone for support, and the moment his fingers touched it, a flash of light burst through his mind. He saw images, not from the mirror but from ancient memory, a great fire burning in the forest, men and women in silver armor chanting, a black shadow writhing in chains made of light, a seal carved into the earth, a promise made by the ancestors. We will watch, we will guard, we will not fail. Arion gasped, stepping away. Galadriel watched him quietly. Now you see, she said, your people once protected Middle-earth from a great darkness. Arion shook his head, breath trembling. If that is true, if we once guarded this thing, why did no one tell us? Why did no one keep the watch? Galadriel looked down, sadness touching her features. Because time is a thief, and peace is a soft bed where vigilance falls asleep. Arion felt anger rising, not at Galadriel, but at the idea that his people had been allowed to forget something so important. What do we do now? He asked. Galadriel stepped beside him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. You must return home, you must awaken the memory of your people, and you must face the Whisperer before he grows too strong. Arion felt suddenly very small. How can I fight something like him? I'm just a scholar. Galadriel's eyes glowed softly. Every hero begins as someone who believes they are ordinary. Greatness is not born, it is chosen. Arion swallowed hard. What if I fail? Galadriel smiled faintly. Then darkness will fall faster, but if you try, you may stop what the mirror showed. Arion looked at the memory stone. The runes seemed to pulse gently like a heartbeat. He knew what the lady expected. He knew what the future demanded. And for the first time, he felt something new inside himself. Not courage exactly, but a spark of something dangerous and hopeful. Galadriel turned toward the path leading out of the glade. Come, Arion, your next step begins now. The Whisperer has already begun to move. Arion followed her, the memory stone glowing faintly behind them. The shadows of the forest watched quietly, and somewhere far away in the direction of his village, something whispered his name. The sky above Lothlorien was beginning to lighten, though sunrise was still far away. The soft glow that filled the forest did not come from the sun but from the trees themselves, as if the woods of the Golden Realm breathed light. Arion followed Galadriel in silence, his mind filled with the vision he had seen in the memory stone. Guardians, a prison, a forgotten duty, and the Whisperer, an ancient darkness hungry to break free. His heart felt heavy, yet strangely alive. He had lived his entire life believing he was ordinary, and now he walked beside one of the greatest beings in Middle-earth, carrying a truth so old it had turned into dust. What if my people refuse to believe me? Arion asked softly as they crossed a narrow bridge glowing with faint silver. What if they think I'm telling stories? Galadriel did not stop walking. Truth does not disappear just because some refuse to see it, she said gently. The danger will reach your village whether they believe you or not. Arion swallowed hard. That was the part that frightened him most. How much time do we have? Galadriel's voice grew quiet. Shadows move faster than light. Once awakened, darkness wastes no time. Arion felt a chill, so the Whisperer is already coming. Galadriel's eyes turned toward the distant mountains. He is testing the edges of his prison. His strength is not yet complete, but he is growing. The longer you delay, the more powerful he becomes. Arion felt the weight of her words pressing down on him, but he forced himself to breathe steadily. Even if he was afraid, he could not run away. What must I do first? Galadriel paused at the edge of a wide clearing. Here the ground was flat like a giant circle of polished stone, though no craftsman had shaped it. It looked natural yet too perfect to be ordinary. You must take the forgotten road, she said. It is the path your ancestors once walked. It leads straight to the heart of your village, but through ways hidden from ordinary eyes. Arion frowned. I've heard of no such road. That is because it hides itself, Galadriel explained. Only those who carry the memory of the Guardians can walk it, and now, Arion, you are one of them. He looked at her in confusion. How can I be? I only learned the truth today. Galadriel turned toward him fully, her golden hair shimmering like captured sunlight. Memory lives not only in the mind, she said. Sometimes it lives in the blood. Your ancestors guarded the ancient seal for centuries. Their oath lives in you even if you never heard it. Arion looked away, overwhelmed. Why me? Why now? Galadriel stepped closer, placing her hand lightly on his shoulder. Because you listened, she said simply. Most would have ignored the signs, but you followed the shadows to their source. That choice set you on this path long before you came to Lothlorien. Arion breathed deeply. He did not feel brave, but her words gave him strength. What happens on this forgotten road? Galadriel turned toward the center of the stone circle. You will face memories that are not your own. You will hear voices from the past, and you may see things that test your heart, but everything you face is meant to prepare you for what waits at home. Arion nodded slowly. And the Whisperer. He cannot reach you on the forgotten road, she said, but his influence can. Be careful with your thoughts. He can twist doubt into fear and fear into surrender. Arion felt a single drop of sweat roll down his neck. How do I stop him from influencing me? Galadriel's answer was simple. Trust in what you know and question what you feel. Shadows often speak with your own voice. Arion shivered. Galadriel raised her hand and the circle of stone responded. Light spread across the ground in a wide spiral as if the earth awakened. The center cracked open, not violently but gently like a flower blooming. A staircase of pale stone appeared, leading downward into a tunnel glowing with faint silver light, the forgotten road. Arion stepped toward it, but Galadriel stopped him with a soft gesture. You will not be alone. Arion blinked. You're coming with me. Galadriel shook her head. No, my presence would disturb the memories. But someone else will walk with you. A soft rustle came from the trees. Arion turned and saw a tall figure stepping into the clearing. He wore a cloak of soft green and his eyes were sharp and calm. His steps made no sound, an elf, but he was different from Galadriel, more grounded, more silent, like the steady strength of tree roots. This is Elanor, Galadriel said, one of the wardens of Lothlorien. He knows the paths of old. Elanor bowed slightly. I will walk beside you, he said in a smooth, gentle voice, and guide you until the road ends. Arion nodded gratefully. I'm honored. Elanor smiled faintly. Courage walks quietly, friend Arion. You have more of it than you think. Galadriel stepped back, giving Arion a long, steady gaze. Once you step onto this road, your path will change forever, she said. But remember, the future is not fixed. You choose what becomes real. Arion took a deep breath. I will not fail, Galadriel smiled. Then Middle-earth walks with you. Arion turned toward the staircase. The silver glow from below warmed his face. Elanor stepped beside him. Ready? The elf asked softly. Arion hesitated for only a moment. Yes, together they descended. The tunnel felt older than anything Arion had ever known. The walls were smooth stone, but they pulsed faintly with ancient runes buried under layers of time. Soft whispers drifted through the air, distant, indistinct like echoes of people speaking from centuries ago. Arion felt a tingling in his chest. Are these voices from the past? Elanor nodded. The road remembers every step your ancestors took, their fears, their hopes, their oaths. Listen carefully. Some memories may guide you. Arion listened. At first the whispers were too soft to understand, but slowly the words became clearer. Hold the line. The seal must not break. The shadow twists lies. Do not trust the voice that sounds like your own. Arion stopped walking. That last one, it's a warning about the Whisperer, isn't it? Elanor nodded. Your ancestors faced him when he first tried to escape. They knew his tricks. Arion's skin crawled. What else should I know? Before Elanor could answer, the tunnel widened into a large chamber. The ceiling rose high above them, covered with carvings that glowed faintly. In the center stood 3 stone pillars arranged in a triangle. Each pillar held a symbol carved deep into its surface. Arion stepped closer. What are these? Elanor touched the nearest pillar. These are the marks of the oath. Your ancestors swore upon them before becoming guardians. Arion felt drawn to the symbols. What do they say? Elanor recited. Light before fear, duty before rest, truth before comfort. Guard until the last dawn fades. Arion felt something inside him stir like a distant memory trying to wake. This feels familiar, he whispered. Elanor nodded. That is the legacy in your blood. Before Arion could respond, a sudden gust of cold wind swept through the chamber. The torches flickered. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the floor. Arion stepped back. What was that? Elanor's face tightened. The Whisperer has touched the road. He cannot enter, but he can watch. A deep, crawling voice filled the chamber, not loud, but heavy like pressure inside the skull. Arion froze. The voice sounded exactly like his own. Elanor grabbed Arion's arm. Do not listen, it is a trick. But the voice grew clearer, colder. You cannot save them. You are too weak. You saw it in the mirror. You failed. Arian shook his head fiercely, but fear clawed at him. No, no, that wasn't the future, only a possibility. The voice whispered, a possibility becomes truth when the weak take the lead. Arian felt his heart pounding painfully. Alanna stood between Arian and the shadows. Stand firm, he feeds on doubt, ignore him. Arian closed his eyes, breathing hard. He heard the voice again, softer now. Turn back, let others die in your place. You were never meant to be a guardian. Arian's fists clenched. The words hurt because part of him believed them. But then he remembered Galadriel's words, trust what you know, question what you feel. Arian opened his eyes. I may be weak, he whispered, but I won't let fear decide for me. A faint light spread from Arian's chest, soft but steady. The whisperer's voice hissed, then faded. The chamber fell quiet. Alanna smiled proudly. You have taken your first step as a guardian. Arian breathed shakily. This road is harder than I expected. Alanna nodded. And it will grow harder still. He gestured toward the far end of the chamber where another tunnel waited. Come, Arian, the next trial awaits. Arian looked once more at the glowing pillars, then followed Alanna into the darkness ahead. The forgotten road continued, and the whisperer continued watching. The tunnel narrowed as Arian and Alanna continued along the forgotten road. The silver glow on the walls dimmed, replaced by a colder, bluish light that felt less welcoming and more watchful. Arian sensed that they were entering a deeper layer of the ancient path, a place where memories grew heavier and more demanding. Alanna moved quietly, his steps smooth and unbroken, but Arian felt the weight of each stone beneath his feet. Every few moments he heard faint whispers drifting from cracks in the walls, voices of people long gone, echoes of warnings, and fragments of forgotten conversations. At first, they were quiet enough that Arian could ignore them, but then little by little they grew clearer. Seal it before dawn, the shadows feed on doubt. We cannot hold much longer. Arian's breath quickened. Though the voices had no bodies, he felt them press around him like cold hands brushing against his shoulders. Alanna, he whispered, why do their voices sound so afraid? Alanna slowed his pace and glanced over his shoulder. Because they knew what they were protecting. He said softly, they understood the cost. Being a guardian was not only a duty, it was a burden of the heart. Arian swallowed nervously, and now that burden belongs to me. Alanna placed a steady hand on Arian's shoulder. Not alone, no guardian walks alone. Arian nodded, but his stomach remained tight. After a few more minutes of walking, the tunnel opened again, this time into a long corridor lined with tall stone columns. Each column held a carving of a figure, men and women in ancient armor, some with weapons raised, others with hands held over their hearts. At the end of the corridor stood a giant door of dark stone. It had no handle, no hinges, and no visible opening. The surface was smooth and reflective, like polished obsidian. Arian stepped toward it slowly. What is this place? Alanna stopped a few steps behind him. This, he said, is the chamber of echoed footsteps. The second trial. Arian glanced back. What must I do here? Alanna lowered his head respectfully, as if standing before someone powerful. Here the road tests your past, your real past, not the one written in books, not the one taught by your village, but the truth your blood remembers. Arian felt fear flicker inside him. You mean I will see my ancestors? In a way, Alanna answered. You will see echoes of them, and perhaps echoes of yourself. A strange chill moved through Arian's body. What do I have to do? Alanna gestured toward the massive stone door. Walk forward, the door will open when it recognizes your spirit. Arian stared at the dark surface. How will it recognize me? It already knows you, Alanna said simply. Arian stepped toward the door. For a moment nothing happened. Then the stone rippled like the surface of a pond disturbed by a drop of water. A deep hum filled the air. The entire corridor trembled. Arian took one more step and the door split open silently, revealing a wide, circular chamber lit only by a soft white glow from the ceiling. The floor looked like smooth glass, but beneath its surface was darkness, deep, endless darkness that seemed to swallow light. Arian hesitated. Alanna stopped at the door. I cannot enter. This trial is for you alone. Arian turned sharply. You're not coming. Alanna shook his head. This chamber tests the heart. Only the one chosen can walk inside. Arian's mouth dried. And if I fail? Alanna's calm expression did not change. Then you will learn why the whisperer grows stronger. Arian forced himself to breathe. He stepped inside. As soon as he crossed the threshold, the door closed silently behind him. The chamber was silent. No whisper, no breath of wind, not even the faint echo of footsteps. Arian walked forward, each step sending tiny ripples across the glass-like floor. He kept his eyes ahead, trying not to look at the abyss beneath him, but then a footstep echoed behind him. Arian spun around. The chamber was empty. Slowly he stepped backward. Another footstep, this time to his left. Arian swallowed hard. Who's there? He waited. Nothing answered. He moved forward again. The footsteps followed. He turned sharply. Show yourself. A soft voice spoke behind him, a voice he recognized immediately, his father. Arian, why did you come here? Arian froze. His chest tightened painfully. Father, he turned, expecting to see the man who raised him, kind-eyed, gentle, always smiling. But instead he saw a pale figure shaped like his father but made of light, an echo, not a man. The figure stepped closer, its face calm and sorrowful. You left your home unprotected, it said. Your people are alone. Arian stammered, I came here to save them. The echo tilted its head. Did you, or did you come to run from the danger? Arian felt as if a knife twisted inside his chest. I came because no one believed me. The echo nodded, because you do not believe in yourself. Arian's breath caught. No, that's not true, but his voice was weak. The echo stepped closer. Its eyes turned darker, deeper. You fear you are not strong enough, it whispered. You fear you will fail. You fear the darkness will come and you will be helpless. Arian shut his eyes tightly. Stop, but the echo continued, voice growing sharper. You fear you are the wrong choice. Arian's knees almost buckled. He whispered, trembling, am I? The echo did not answer with words. Instead, it extended a hand toward the floor. The glass surface beneath them shifted. Images formed, dark, broken images of Arian failing, his village burning, his people screaming. His own face twisted in fear, unable to fight. Arian stumbled back, tears burning in his eyes. The echo spoke again. This is what you fear. This is the weight in your steps. This is the voice the whisperer will twist. Arian shook his head. I can't watch this. You must, the echo said. You cannot face the whisperer while you run from your own shadow. Arian's chest tightened painfully. He wanted to scream. He wanted to run. Anything to escape the images showing him failing again and again. But he forced himself to breathe. Slowly, he stepped closer to the images. I may fail, he whispered. Yes, I'm afraid, yes. The echo's figure wavered. But I'm trying, Arian said. I left home to understand the danger. I followed the signs. I asked for help. His voice grew stronger, and I will not turn back. The echo stared silently. Arian continued, louder now. I am afraid, but I choose to walk forward anyway. The echo began to fade. You speak truth, it whispered, and truth strengthens the light. Then the figure dissolved like smoke. The glass floor brightened, the ceiling glowed gold, and a warm breeze filled the chamber. Arian wiped his eyes slowly. The trial was over. The door behind him opened again. Elanar stood waiting on the other side. When Arian stepped out, the elf smiled. You faced your shadow, Elanar said. Few do so without breaking. Arian took a shaky breath. Is every trial like that? No. Elanar said, some are harder. Arian almost laughed from exhaustion. Wonderful. Elanar placed a hand on his shoulder. You are stronger now. You understand your fear and you walked through it. Arian nodded. What comes next? Elanar turned toward a still deeper tunnel where a soft red light glowed faintly. The third trial, he said, and the most dangerous. Arian's heart tightened. Why? Elanar's voice dropped to a whisper. Because the whisperer will try to reach you again, and this time he will not use your voice. Arian felt a cold shiver run down his spine. The road ahead darkened. The real battle was only beginning. The red glow at the end of the corridor was unlike anything Arian had seen before. It pulsed slowly like the heartbeat of a giant creature sleeping beneath the earth. The air grew warmer with each step he took, and he felt a pressure building in his chest, heavy, as if the road itself was warning him. Elanar walked ahead with steady grace, though even he moved more carefully now. His usually calm face held a hint of concern. Arian finally spoke. Elanar, you said this trial is more dangerous. What will I face there? Elanar stopped just before the entrance to the glowing tunnel. The walls around them shimmered faintly like molten metal cooling. You will face not a memory, Elanar said quietly, but a test of your will. This trial shows not who you were, but who you are becoming. Arian frowned, confused. What does that mean? Elanar turned toward him, eyes sharp and serious. The whisperer cannot enter this sacred road, he said, but his influence can. In this trial he will try to claim you. Arian's breath caught. Claim me how? By offering you what you most desire, Elanar answered. He uses hope the way others use fear. Hope can blind just as easily as darkness can. Arian felt a sharp twist in his stomach. What could he possibly offer me? Elanar looked at him with uncommon sadness. Everyone wants something, Arian, even those who do not admit it. Arian tried to deny it, but as the red light flickered, he felt a small truth rise inside him, a desire he had pushed deep down into silence, a desire he feared. Elanar placed a hand on his shoulder. You are stronger than you know, but be careful. This trial will try to turn your heart against itself. Arian nodded slowly. I'll be ready. Elanar stepped back. I cannot go with you, only you may enter, but know this, when you walk inside, do not trust the first thing you see. Arian swallowed hard, and the second thing, Elanar gave a small, thin smile. Trust nothing in this chamber until you trust yourself. Arian took a deep breath and stepped into the red passage. The moment he crossed the threshold, the world changed. The warm stone beneath his feet turned soft, almost like sand. The walls stretched wide, glowing with a red brilliance that seemed to come from inside the stone itself. In the air felt alive, humming with a low vibration that made the hairs on Arian's arms rise. He took another step and the passage behind him vanished. The door, the corridor, Elanar, everything disappeared, replaced by swirling red mist. Arian spun around. No, 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 Elanar. His voice echoed, but no one answered. He was alone. He turned again and froze. A shape stood in front of him, a familiar shape, a person. Arian's voice cracked. Mother, she stood only a few steps away, wearing the same soft blue dress she had worn the night Arian last saw her alive. Her eyes were warm, her smile gentle, her hands outstretched as if she had been waiting for him all these years. Arian, she whispered. My son. Arian's entire body trembled. His mother had died when he was 12. He remembered holding her hand as her breath faded. He remembered the emptiness that came after. Now she stood right in front of him. Mother, how are you here? She stepped closer and Arian felt tears rising in his eyes. I have always been here, she said softly, waiting for you, waiting for the moment you would come home. Arian felt his chest tighten painfully. I miss you. I never got to say, she pressed a finger gently to his lips. You don't need to say anything, I know. Her voice was sweet, her smile was perfect, too perfect. Galadriel's warning echoed in his mind. He will offer you what you most desire. Arian stepped back slowly. This cannot be real. His mother's smile flickered for a moment, then returned wider. I am real, I never left you. You can stay with me, Arian. You don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to be afraid. The red mist brightened around them, the warmth grew deeper, and the ground beneath Arian's feet felt softer, inviting him to sink into comfort. His mother reached out her hand. Come, let the others save the village. You have suffered enough. Arian trembled. He wanted to take her hand. He wanted to fall into the comfort she offered. He wanted to let go of the terror, the destiny, the responsibility. He whispered, voice cracking, I want to stay. I want to, but her expression changed quickly, too quickly. Then stay, she said firmly. Stay with me, forget the darkness, forget the whisperer, forget the guardians, forget everything. Arian felt the warmth slip into his mind, clouding his thoughts. Stay. He shook his head violently. No, my mother would never ask me to abandon my people. The figure's smile froze. Arian stepped back. You are not her. The red mist tightened. The glowing chamber darkened. The figure twisted, her eyes turning black, her smile cracking into something sharp and cruel. A deep, cold voice replaced hers. You cling to fear, Arian. You cling to pain. That is why you will never be strong enough. Arian felt his knees weaken. The whisperer, his voice was no longer soft or distant. It was here inside the red mist, inside the echo of his mother's form. Arian clenched his fists. You cannot fool me. The whisperer's voice deepened. You want comfort. You want rest, and I am offering it to you. The red mist curled around Arian's legs like vines of smoke. All you must do is let go. Arian pushed back through the fog. No, the mist tightened like claws. Let go of the burden, Arian. No, let go of the fight. No, let your people fall. They were never yours to save. Arian felt something snap inside him, not fear, not despair, but anger. You don't get to decide that. He thrust his hand forward. Pushing against the mist, a bright flash burst from his chest, golden light, warm and alive. The mist recoiled with a violent hiss. Arian staggered backward, breathing hard. His mother's figure collapsed into dust, dissolving into red sparks. The whisperer's voice filled the chamber one last time, furious and cold. You cannot hold the light forever. Every guardian falls. Arian steadied his breath. Then I will fall standing, not kneeling. Silence followed, the mist cleared. And for the first time, Arian saw the true chamber around him. It was circular, made of smooth stone, the red glow fading. In the middle of the room floated a single crystal shard glowing with calm golden light. Arian stepped toward it. What is this? The whisperer's influence had vanished. Only peace remained. Arian picked up the shard. It pulsed gently in his hand like a heartbeat. And suddenly he understood. This was a fragment of the ancient seal. A piece of the power his ancestors used to bind the whisperer centuries ago. The trial had not only tested him, it had gifted him a weapon. The golden light spread through his palm, filling his veins with warmth and strength. Arian whispered, I'm not alone. With the shard glowing softly, the chamber door reopened. Elanor stood waiting, eyes wide the moment he saw the light. You passed, he said quietly, and you carry the shard. This is very good. Arian stepped out, still shaking. What happens now? Elanor nodded toward the next path, a dark passage with no light at all. Now, the elf said, you face the truth of the whisperer's birth. Arian tightened his grip on the shard. The road was growing darker, and so was the enemy. But Arian was no longer the same person who entered the forgotten road. He walked forward. The next trial awaited. The new passage felt different the moment Arian stepped inside. There was no glow on the walls. No soft whisper of ancient memories, no warmth. The air was cold, so cold that every breath Arian drew felt like frost sliding down his throat. The darkness here was not simply the absence of light, it was a presence. Elanor, walking at Arian's side again, slowed and placed a hand against the wall. This part of the road, he said softly, is older than the Guardians, older even than Lothlorien. Arian frowned. Older than the forest itself. Elanor nodded. This is where the Whisperer was born. The word struck Arian like a stone. Born, the Whisperer had a birth, a beginning. Arian had always imagined the Whisperer as a creature of pure darkness, something that simply existed like a nightmare. But Elanor's words told a different story, one much more frightening. What was he before he became that? Arian asked quietly. Elanor did not answer immediately. Instead, he led Arian deeper through the tunnel. The walls around them shifted from cold stone to something that looked almost like hardened smoke, dark, swirling patterns sealed forever. When the world was young, Elanor finally said, light and shadow were not enemies, they existed side by side. Shadow was not evil, it was rest, quietness, peace, a place where even the brightest stars could sleep. Arian had never heard such a thing. Shadow was good. Elanar gave a slow nod. It was necessary without shadow. World burns with too much light. Arian tried to understand it. If shadow was good, then what happened? Elanar's face darkened. One shadow learned to hunger. Arian felt a chill rush through his spine. The Whisperer. Arian whispered, yes, but before he was the Whisperer, he was something else, something innocent. Arian wasn't sure how he felt about that. Darkness that had once been innocent made the story far more terrifying. His true name, Elanar said quietly, was Ulrith. The name echoed through the tunnel as if the walls themselves remembered it. Arian repeated the name under his breath. Ulrith. It didn't feel evil, it felt lonely. Elanar continued. Ulrith was a shadow spirit, not living, not dead, only existing. He watched the world, learning from it, quietly moving through forests, rivers, and skies. He was gentle, curious, harmless. Arian imagined a shapeless spirit drifting through the early world, unnoticed by all. What changed him? Arian asked. Elanar hesitated before answering. He saw something he was never meant to see. Arian's heart rate quickened. What was it? Elanar exhaled slowly. Fear. Arian blinked. Fear turned him into a monster. Fear that did not belong to him, Elanar said. Fear that came from the minds of mortals. He watched men and elves, watched their terror, their despair, their desire for power. He tasted their emotions, and Shadow was never meant to taste such things. The tunnel dimmed further as Elanar continued. Ulrith began to change. He became curious about fear. He wondered why it affected mortals so deeply. He wondered what would happen if he used it. Arian felt his stomach twist, and that curiosity turned him into the Whisperer. It was the beginning, Elanar said. The more he watched mortal fear, the more he wanted. It became like food to him. Soon he was no longer a gentle shadow. He became hungry. Arian swallowed hard. What exactly does he want? Elanar stopped walking. He wants to shape fear into reality. He wants the world to become what mortals fear most. He believes that is the true form of existence. Arian shivered. He thinks the world should be a nightmare. Yes, Elanar said, because in his twisted vision, a world ruled by fear is a world where he is strongest. Arian felt a burning in his chest, anger mixed with sadness. So my village, my home, he wants to turn them into a nightmare. He wants to break the ancient seal, Elanar said. Your village stands on that seal, and he wants to use your fear to open the doorway. Arian clenched the golden shard tightly. So that's why he speaks with my voice. Elanar nodded. Because your fear is stronger now, and stronger fear gives him more power. Arian slowed his steps. I thought he used fear to hurt me, but it feels like he's trying to understand me. Elanar gave him a sharp look. That is exactly what makes him dangerous. Fear does not always feel like an attack. Sometimes it feels like understanding. Arian felt cold sweat form on his forehead. So he tries to make me feel like he knows me. He tries to make you trust him, Elanar said, and if you trust him, the seal breaks. Arian's stomach dropped. I would never trust him. Elanar's voice softened. Everyone says that until the Whisperer shows them what they want most. Arian felt a tightness in his chest. He remembered the false vision of his mother, the warmth, the comfort. Elanar continued walking. Be careful, Arian, he will try again. Arian nodded, though fear returned to his heart. After a long silence, Arian asked, what happened when my ancestors fought him? How did they defeat him? Elanar's steps slowed. They did not defeat him, Elanar corrected. They trapped him. Arian felt confusion. Why not destroy him completely? Elanar shook his head. You cannot destroy shadow, you can only contain it, and even that is dangerous. They reached the end of the tunnel. A massive stone door stood before them, carved with more runes than Arian had ever seen. They glowed faintly gold, silver, white, and red like ancient fireflies frozen in stone. Elanar turned to Arian. Beyond this door lies the true birthplace of Ulrith, the place where he tasted fear for the first time. Arian felt a heaviness in the air, thick and suffocating. What is inside? He asked quietly. A pool of memories, Elanar said, a pool where Shadow saw the worst part of mortals. Arian's breath shook. And I must enter? Yes, because only by seeing his origin can you understand how to stop him. Arian stepped closer to the stone door. Elanar, why me? Why did the ancient road choose me? Why do I have to be the one to face him? Elanar placed a hand on Arian's shoulder. Because you have fear in your heart, but you do not run from it, you face it, and those who face fear hold power over it. Arian's throat tightened. Elanar smiled gently. You think fear makes you weak, but it is your greatest strength. Arian looked at his hand, the golden shard glowing faintly. He remembered the trials, the illusions, the voices. He whispered, I'm ready. Elanar nodded. He placed both his palms on the stone door. The runes brightened. The air trembled. The door slid open, revealing a vast chamber filled with swirling shadow and shimmering silver water. Arian stepped inside. The birthplace of the Whisperer waited, and the past was ready to speak. The moment Arian stepped through the stone doorway, the temperature dropped so sharply that he gasped. The chamber inside was enormous, so large that his footsteps dissolved into silence before they could echo back. The ceiling arched into darkness, higher than any tower he had ever seen, and the floor shimmered like liquid glass. In the center of the chamber lay a pool, wide and still, glowing faintly with silver light. Shadows curled above it like dark smoke caught in slow motion. Elanar stepped beside him but did not move farther. This is where Ulrith changed, the elf whispered. This pool holds the first fear he ever tasted. Arion stared at the swirling shadows. The pool felt alive, watching him with a quiet hunger. It looks dangerous. It is, Alanir said, but it will not attack you. The danger lies in what it shows. Arion approached the pool slowly. As he stepped closer, he noticed something unusual. The entire chamber was carved with ancient symbols, but unlike the runes Arion had seen earlier, these carvings were shaking, not trembling because of movement, but trembling as if reacting to his presence. Arion placed a hand on his chest. Why does it react to me? Alanir stepped forward slightly. Because your journey mirrors Ulrith's first steps. He was drawn to fear, and the pool is drawn to those who carry fear inside them. Arion's breath caught. Then it knows me. Yes, Alanir said softly, and it remembers your ancestors. Arion turned toward the pool again. What must I do? Alanir's voice grew calm and steady. Look into the water. The pool will show you how Ulrith became the Whisperer. It will show you the truth behind his madness, and it will show you something else, something only for you. Arion's heartbeat quickened. What do you mean, something for me? The pool knows the roots of fear, Alanir said. It knows what binds you to the Whisperer, the truth you have not faced. Arion felt a sudden pressure in his chest. I've faced everything so far. Not everything, Alanir said gently. You faced your doubt, you faced your longing. But you have not yet faced the fear you hide even from yourself. Arion stiffened. Alanir bowed his head. I cannot walk closer, you must go alone. Arion took a slow, deep breath. He walked toward the pool. The shadows above the water parted for him as if recognizing his presence. He knelt at the edge, trying to steady his breath. The pool was perfectly still, reflecting his face like a mirror, but the moment he blinked, the reflection vanished. The water turned black. Arion gasped and leaned back, then light burst from the surface. A vision formed. A vast field appeared before him, green grass under a bright sky. Birds circled overhead. Children played. Farmers worked. Women laughed near the river. Arion recognized the place, his village, but the scene was not from now. Everything looked older, brighter, untouched by the shadows he had seen in his visions. A group of people stood on a hill overlooking the valley, clad in silver armor, carrying staffs and blades that glowed faintly. Arion whispered, the Guardians. They were strong, confident, united. At their center stood a tall man with dark hair and determined eyes. He wore a cloak lined with silver thread. Arion stared. He knew that face. It looked like the one he saw in the mirror every morning, older, sharper, but unmistakable. Alanir, Arion whispered urgently. Who is he? Alanir's voice came faintly from outside the vision. That is Arodin, your ancestor. The first guardian. Arion's breath trembled. The man raised his sword toward the sky. We stand for the light, Arodin shouted. We protect the seal until the last dawn. His voice was powerful, filled with strength that shook the air. Arion's heart pounded. Then the scene shifted. The sky darkened suddenly, turning a deep shade of crimson. The grass blackened. The river grew still. A shadow crawled across the field, not quickly but slowly, deliberately. It moved like a living cloud. Whispering softly, Arodin shouted a warning. Form the circle. The guardians stood shoulder to shoulder. Their weapons glowed brighter, but the shadow did not attack. It stopped only a few steps away. A shape rose from it, small at first, then growing, forming a tall figure made of swirling darkness. Ulrith, not yet the Whisperer, but no longer innocent. Arodin stepped forward. Shadow, return to your purpose. You do not belong in fear. The creature shuddered, voice trembling. I tasted what you hide, your fear, your anger, your doubt. Mortals are so loud inside, your hearts scream, and I cannot resist that sound. Turn back, Arodin commanded, but the shadow twisted, voice growing stronger. Why should I turn back when fear gives me life? His words struck Arion like cold iron. Ulrith grew taller, darker. I want more, he hissed. Fear is endless, fear is pure, fear is power. Arodin raised his sword high. Then we will seal you away. The guardians began chanting. Light rose from the ground, forming a circle around Ulrith. The shadow screamed, not in pain, but in hunger. You cannot escape fear, Ulrith roared. It grows inside your children, their children, all of them. I will return. The guardians shouted the final words of the sealing spell. Light before fear, duty before rest, truth before comfort. The seal exploded with brilliance. The shadow vanished. The field returned to peace. But Arodin collapsed to his knees, exhausted. Arion instinctively reached toward him, forgetting it was only a vision. The pool shimmered, shifting again. The scene changed. This time Arion saw something much closer. A small boy, thin, scared, holding a wooden toy, standing alone in a dark room. Arion's breath hitched. He knew that boy. It was himself. The room was the small back chamber of his house. He remembered it too well. It was the night he lost his mother. The night the world felt too quiet. The night fear first whispered to him. The child Arion whispered, I'm not strong enough. Arion felt his chest twist. He remembered hiding, trembling, feeling helpless, abandoned. He remembered promising himself he would never feel so powerless again, and yet that feeling chased him into adulthood. The pool whispered softly, this is the fear that binds you, not the fear of the Whisperer, but the fear of being weak, of being helpless again. Arion's hands shook. Alanir's distant voice floated in. Do you see now, Arion? The Whisperer feeds on that fear. He pushes it, he makes it grow, and if you do not accept it, he will own you. Arian stared at the child version of himself. I'm not that boy anymore, Arian whispered. I can't be, but the boy shook his head. You still run from me. Arian's breath caught. Memories flooded him of every moment he stayed silent when he wanted to speak, every time he backed away from danger. Every night he lay awake imagining all the things he wished he was brave enough to do. Arian whispered, I'm sorry. The child looked up. If you're sorry, then come closer. Arian hesitated. Come closer, the boy repeated. Arian stepped forward and knelt. The boy whispered something Arian never expected. Strength doesn't come from denying me, it comes from accepting me. Arian gasped. The boy grew brighter and dissolved into golden light flowing into Arian's chest. Warmth filled him, not the warmth of comfort, but the warmth of truth. The pool shimmered. A final vision rose, Arudan standing tall, looking directly at Arian. The ancient guardian's eyes were steady and warm. Fear does not stop us, Arudan said. It reminds us what we must protect. Arian felt tears gather in his eyes. Arudan raised his sword in salute. You carry our blood, you carry our promise, now carry our strength. The vision faded, the room dimmed. Arian stood, breathing hard, heart pounding with new clarity. He turned toward the door. Elanar stepped inside, eyes wide with emotion. You saw it, Elanar said, the whole truth. Arian nodded slowly. I saw Ulrith's beginning in my own. Elanar smiled softly. Then you are ready. Arian looked down at the pool one last time. I know what I must do. The chamber shook faintly as if acknowledging his resolve. Elanar stepped aside. The final road awaits. Arian tightened his grip on the glowing shard. The Whisperer had shown him fear. Now Arian would show him strength.